Hello to you all in the ABM family. I'm Stephen and I just wanted to catch you up with how things are going with God's mission through ABM in the world. Before I tell you some of the good news stories, I wanted to tell you that on behalf of our Executive Director John Dean and the staff and our partners, we have been overwhelmed by your response at this time. We've received many messages letting us know that people are praying and have not forgotten the mission of God outside of every person's own difficulties during the COVID-19 crisis. And we've also been really surprised and warmed by the number of donations that have come in to try and support our partners at this time. People have been extraordinarily generous at a time when it would be easy to think of ourselves first and worry, because many of us do have financial difficulties at this time. Many people have lost jobs or lost income. But you have been extraordinarily generous to our partners, and we want to say thank you for that. It's absolutely heartwarming and it is incredibly encouraging. Now, we have been getting stories in from our partners around the world about the ongoing work of God's mission. We received a letter from a bishop in Kenya who was telling us about the work that's going on there with disabled children. Now, this has nothing to do with COVID-19, and that's exactly the point. These programs that bring life to people, particularly in this case to children with disabilities, they can't stop. Things can't go on hold. And so in the midst of the crisis, this amazing work with the poorest of the poor and the most disadvantaged continues. In Myanmar, we've heard a story about a team that was taking a rice mill out to a community. This was a pre-planned project. So when they heard about the COVID-19 crisis, instead of just taking the mill, they bought up soap and detergent and they took posters with information about COVID-19 so that when they delivered the rice mill, the 50 plus families in that community also received soap and detergent and information to help protect themselves against the virus. Again, the mission of God didn't stop. It was just enhanced by people who were prepared to take an extra step and go the next mile to make sure that the people that they were assisting received the best help they could. In the Philippines, we've heard pretty interesting stories from our partners there. Amongst the poorest in the community, they're not all that interested in receiving soap because they don't have any food. And when you don't have any food, keeping your hands clean is not really so much of an issue, or at least it doesn't seem that way to them. But what's been really interesting is that our partner in the Philippines has been able to work with the poorest in the community to get them making PPEs, personal protective equipment for those on the front line. So the poorest in the urban communities are being employed by our partners to produce PPEs for those in the hospitals and on the front line. I mean, how fantastic is that? Also, last year, when the government brought in a new regime for the sale of rice, the country was flooded by overseas rice, and a lot of the poorer communities that our partners in the Philippines work with were producing rice they couldn't sell. Now, in response to that, the church bought up quite a large stockpile of rice. Now, how's that for an incidental miracle, that at this time the church finds itself with a stockpile of food when so many of the people it regularly works with have no food? That's what I'd call a miracle. And a miracle is when the people of God work with God to bring love, hope and justice to the world. One of the saddest stories of this time is the story that's rolling out in Vanuatu at this time. You've probably heard about it, but we haven't had much in the news about the cyclone that ripped through Vanuatu. And again, we received a letter from a bishop who was on Santo Island, an island that I'd previously visited to see a women's literacy project many years ago. A very beautiful place. Now, Santo's a largish island, but on that island alone, 500 houses were destroyed and 5,000 people are homeless. And getting aid into the community is complicated by the virus because no one wants to take in aid with the possibility that it may be carrying the virus. So everything has been slowed down. Now, we know what it's like not to be able to get toilet paper and not to be able to get tinned tomatoes, but imagine coping at this time with the fear of the virus. Your house has been destroyed and you're amongst thousands of other people who are homeless. That is the situation in Vanuatu at the moment. And our partner there is doing their best to work with those people, provide them with shelter and hope. So, will you pray for them, please? And if you're able to, and only if you're able to, would you consider supporting our Vanuatu appeal? It's hard to ask people at this time to think outside of what's happening to us. But the Vanuatu appeal is one that I think we need to respond to. And if you can, please do. And if you can't, then please pray, because God listens. It's been lovely to talk to you. I hope some of those stories have encouraged you that God's work of love, hope and justice being brought to all people across the entire world continues to go on, and that you are a big part of that. So thanks again, and see you later. Bye.